All right, everyone. I'm about to start the video that I chose for the edTPA teaching for analysis. I don't know if it's going to play audio or not, so I've added captions. Anyways, let's begin. I'd also like to point out that she has some sort of edit where it shows the slide and content, so I mean, good job on that for the video. And if this is going to be the frame the whole time, it really doesn't include anything. We see a full student here and half a student here and maybe a jacket, but other than that, this seems to be an empty classroom. Well, as far as the camera angle shows us, so I don't know what she was trying to accomplish. It doesn't show student involvement all that much. Maybe I guess it was just for her to learn from her own work. See right there, all she was doing was reading directly from the PowerPoint, and none of her students seemed phased. Maybe it's because I don't have the prior knowledge of these people. Maybe this is just a review, I don't know. But the way she's talking, she's blowing through this PowerPoint, and if she's addressing, or planning to address, middle schoolers or even high schoolers, you have to learn to pace yourself. I'd recommend PowerPoints, like, they should have all the information needed in case that a student is a visual learner as opposed to auditory. And I get why you would read it aloud and have it up there, like, for notes, but I don't really think it's effective instruction. Something that maybe you could do anything that helped the students, maybe a guided notes, but as you can see from the woman on the right, I mean, she's not doing anything, and neither is the one in the front. Like, they're not writing, they're not following along, they're just being instructed at, and this is a lot of content, like, a lot of which is just, it's a connected information, and she isn't giving them any time really to process that. Hopefully she'll start asking questions soon directed towards her students, get them more engaged, maybe activate prior knowledge. This is pretty much textbook instruction, teacher-led lecture, which, I mean, we've talked about many a times that it's not nearly as effective as when you get the students involved. I did just notice that whenever she goes, I don't know if she seems to only ever go behind this desk to switch the slides, and she makes sure to move in front of the class instead of being behind the desk, but she's still only in the front of the room talking towards the class instead of moving and checking for engagement. She's simply there to read a PowerPoint to the students, which, once again, is not the most effective strategy. You could at least patrol the room, give the students the sense of, like, urgency or the fact that they need to participate because you're watching. But, I mean, at least she's not standing straight behind the computer. So that's something towards her. All right, so that was really interesting. There she activated prior knowledge by saying, and I reminded you that XYZ bonds from ZYX and et cetera, et cetera. And then she called a student by name to come and do these examples on the board. Interesting not to ask for a volunteer first, but maybe she knows her classroom and who's going to be willing to get involved. I'm not sure. But at least now the students are getting involved and that she's planted an example in the PowerPoint. That is better to me than just a straight PowerPoint of information. At least they get a chance to exercise it. However, I think that if you considered this to be the activity tethered to your lesson, it'd be very difficult. Well, I feel like you're shortchanging your other students from getting the experience and practicing the knowledge that they've just gotten. See, right there, I would have. I mean, she's going back to instruction automatically. I guess that's her base format of teaching. But if I were her in her position, I would ask the student how they got that, how they worked this out, what was their process, and to explain it to the classroom, maybe as like one more chance to reach out to the other kids there. If it's correct, if it's incorrect, give her a chance to pick up on her issues. Once again, involving the student, but I mean, so far she's just used the student as a tool for doing an example and then took right back over. So I don't know, not as effective as I would think that it should be. I'm noticing a weird pattern with how fast she's moving. She's moving at the pace that it takes her to get through the slide, not at the pace that it takes her students to digest the material, which I think comes more from a position of being a student rather than a teacher. Because as a student, you're always rushing to hit your deadline. You don't want to go over time. You don't want to go under time. And you've worked out your project to fit those times. Like your work will fit into those times theoretically if you've done your planning correctly. But you're also not planning for the time that, because you're still a student, you're not planning for the time that your students need to continue. Or at least you should be to be an effective teacher, but I don't know if that's what she's doing here. Because she's not, like, before she switches slides, she's not scanning the room to make sure that the students look engaged or see if anyone seems confused or if somebody's still writing. Maybe hold off for 5 seconds, look for pencils to go down for a majority of the class to be ready. It's just once she finishes the slide, she clicks right to the next one, and it seems to be little engagement or courtesy towards the audience. So we have another example, but this time she does the example. Well, she's already provided the solution on this side, which I guess makes sense if they haven't ever addressed it, but she could have asked, like, what do you think happens in this chart? You've handled charts before, maybe in math. How do you think this works? Treat it like an Excel spreadsheet. Like, what would y'all say? Like, even if they're gonna get wildly wrong answers, give them a chance to engage in the lesson. And then you can go over the correct answer. Maybe have this on the solve table on the next slide. So you go, okay, what do you think? What do you think? Maybe do a poll. How many of you think that this would be uppercase, lowercase, or lowercase, uppercase? And then switch it and say, actually, it would be this because, and then go through your reasoning as opposed to what she does. Right, okay, and then she has a exit point. Anyways, so thank you all for watching. I look forward to seeing y'all's videos.